just seen a video review showing some interesting insider information on the new BYD EA1 Dolphin Atto 2. I don't know how this person knows this information, but he's released the actual details and specifications of the BYD Dolphin that is coming here to Australia. Very interesting review. I'm going to give you all the details, all the information, everything we know, and everything that I think you would want to know and that's interesting, and then actually show you how this new electric car actually compares to its closest rivals. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you. Thank you for subscribing, and welcome to all the new subscribers. Welcome back, everyone else. And thank you to our Patreon supporters. Really appreciate what you do. Makes all the difference in having this channel actually exist. I'll put a link in the description below to our Patreon account if you want to jump on and support us. Any amount is fantastic. BYD is essentially a car slightly shorter than a Toyota Corolla and a Ford Focus. It's coming to Australia, but it's not just coming to Australia. It's coming to lots of markets. Coming to Europe. It's going to the UK, many different Asian markets around the world. Australia, though, first, I believe is going to be getting a large allocation towards the end of this year. I'm excited to see it. The reviewer, called Will, on a really interesting YouTube channel, I'll put a link in the description below, claims that the model we are getting here in Australia will be called the Atto 2, and it will only be the top spec model specification that we will be getting here in Australia. Now, I don't know how he knows this. Maybe he knows someone over in the factory there in China. I mean, he is living in China and he's reviewing all the Chinese cars, so that's possible. However, he claims that it will be called the Atto 2, but then he goes back on that later and says he doesn't know. It might be called the EA1, might be called the Dolphin. Personally, I think, please, EV Direct, if you're watching this video, don't change it to be called the Atto 2 and Atto 3. That is just so generic, so boring. Dolphin is great. Just keep it as Dolphin, BYD Dolphin. People will remember it. Perfect marketing. People remember the name. That's what you want them to do. But trying to remember it, Atto 2, Atto 3, it's the most nondescript, boring name. I mean, honestly, I've never said this before, but I've bought an Atto. As you guys know, the Atto 3. Terrible name. I bought it, but the name's... Sorry, just my opinion. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about the name. Anyhow, regardless of the name, it is interesting to see which model we apparently will be getting here in Australia. The top spec model. Now, considering we're getting a top spec model, well, I'm going to guess what the price will be. The price in China for this model is $23,000 US. The base model version in China is $14,000 US. So there's a pretty big price difference, but the top spec model gets a lot more features, and I'll talk about what those are in a second. So $23,000 US. I'm going to guess here in Australia, they're going to cost probably between 35 to 40,000 Australian dollars. So maybe 27 to 29,000 US. That gives you guys in Europe, in America, in North America, all over the world, an idea of the pricing. Here's a quick overview of the specs, and then I'll go into details. Okay, top levels coming to Australia. Name, Atto 2. Let's hope that's not the case. It will come with a heat pump. In fact, all variants come with a heat pump. This is the cheapest electric car in the world that comes standard with a heat pump. You know, this thing is really affordable. Why can't Nissan make a car with a heat pump? Come on. Next, performance. The lowest spec model, $14,000 US, and the mid spec, pretty slow. They do 0 to 62 miles an hour, 0 to 100 in about 10.5 seconds. 0 to 50 kilometers an hour, pretty fast. After that, pretty slow. The high spec model, that was what the Golf GTI hot hatch was doing maybe only about 5 or 6 years ago. So I think that's pretty good performance. However, reviewers say it's very fast from going 0 to 50 kilometers an hour. 50 to 100 is not so fast. So that's, I think, a good thing. Real world, you don't go over 50 all that often. Really, 0 to 50 or 0 to 60 is what people are doing all the time. So that's where you need the power and the performance. Yeah, it's a good thing because it's great in terms of absorbing bumps. But the suspension, they claim, is a bit too soft. Dashboard storage. That's one thing I noticed that no one's pointed out. I haven't seen any car on the market anywhere other than like American pickup trucks that have a lot of dashboard storage. This one has some really good kind of a cubby space at the front, which is dashboard storage. I love the interior of the car. Interior space is amazing. It's on the outside a lot shorter technically than a Ford Focus, and than a Toyota Corolla. On the inside, it's just as big as a Focus and a lot bigger than a Toyota Corolla, a lot. Here's an example. The boot in the Toyota Corolla is 208 litres. 208, that's right. It has a smaller boot than any other hatch in its category. Ford Focus has a boot of around 345 litres. BYD EA1 boot size, 345 litres, same size, right? Ford Focus wheelbase is about the same as the EA1, but the EA1's quite a lot shorter. That gives you an idea. The video that I saw goes on and on and on about the incredible packaging of EVs. And when you look on the inside, wow, the rear seat has a huge amount of room. It looks like it has more room in the rear seat than my BMW X5 has. Gives you an idea, right, of just how much room is in this car. It's amazing. What does that mean? That means it's got, it's nearly double the size of the boot. Not quite, but 60-70% bigger boot than a Toyota Corolla. So there you go. I mean, much shorter on the outside, but much more space on the inside than the Toyota Corolla, and a huge amount of rear seat space. Range is 400 kilometers on the NEDC cycle. On the WLTP cycle, that will convert to being around about 320 kilometers. That's for the long range variant, and the variant that apparently is coming to global markets and coming to Australia. Other thing, all variants come with BYD's LFP lithium iron phosphate batteries. As you're probably aware if you're watching this video, I'm sure you've heard, those batteries come in every electric car that BYD manufacture, which is a good thing. It's awesome. It's a bonus. It's a benefit. In China, for example, there's a lifetime warranty on the BYD Blade battery. One of the reasons, right? They've pierced this battery with a nail. You do that to a normal lithium ternary battery, like those found in Kias and Hyundais and those sorts of cars, Volkswagens, they will usually explode or set themselves on fire. The Blade battery doesn't do that. But there's actually a video of BYD getting a truck, filling it up with luggage in the back, or some sort of heavy stuff in the back, driving over the Blade battery several times, backwards and forwards, then getting the battery, putting it back in the car, and the car drives away and there's nothing wrong with it. That's how good the battery is. Plus, big advantage to LFP, right? You can charge them to 100% without any degradation on the battery. With a normal battery, batteries you find in all the other cars that we can buy here in Australia, aside from the Tesla Model 3 standard range, which comes with an LFP battery as well. Well, all of those cars, you're not recommended to charge them to 100% because otherwise you see more battery degradation. In addition, life cycle. The number of charges you get out of an LFP battery is approximately 3 times more than you get out of lithium ternary batteries. So that's a big advantage. Now, I've got to say I love Will's presentation style. So I'll put a link in the description below to his video. You can check it out if you want. He's funny, makes some good jokes. He actually observes lots of details. He does a phenomenal review. Really, really good. There's only one thing I would pick out and say, I think the kind of English humor he has, he's overly negative. And that's the case through most of his reviews. Critiques things that I think don't need to be critiqued, like things that are just like, there's hard plastic surfaces, or he doesn't like the color here or the color there, but you don't have to get that color, you can get different colors. And there's just little things where I think the British humor comes out, which is a little bit cynical, a little bit pessimistic. That's the only thing I would probably change there, because I think ultimately, really, he's saying, other people are saying, reviewers are saying, for the money, this car is absolutely amazing. They are, if you can get your hands on one of these this year for the price, what we think they're going to cost, you're going to get a bargain. I mean, do not buy a Toyota Corolla, a Ford Focus, a Hyundai i30, a Volkswagen Golf when you can get one of these for a similar price. You'd be crazy to do that. What else do we know? We know that this doesn't come on an 800 volt platform. In fact, I don't think any current BYDs manufactured right now are capable of 800 volts. It'll be 400 volt, and it comes on BYD's new E-Platform 3.0. The smallest battery size pack, 30.7 kilowatt hour Blade battery, 300 kilometers of NEDC range. Now the mid and top trims have a 45 kilowatt hour pack, which will do 405 and 401 kilometers respectively. The price on launch was actually $14,000 to $18,000 US, but it has gone up a little bit since then to the prices I quoted before. One of the things I love about this car, right? Really short overhangs. Really short overhangs. Really small. Makes it look good. If you look at the videos, you can see in video, I think in person, this is actually quite a good looking car. I've seen some comments from some of the people on this channel, They've been like, I don't like the look of it. Blah, blah, blah. You know what? I think it looks fantastic. I think it depends on the color. Sometimes a color can ruin a car, but my personal opinion is this thing looks really good. Those short overhangs, not only are they practical and logical, they also make it look more muscular. Okay, one of the great things about the Dolphin coming, you've got to say this is a really, really impressive feature for the price. In China, every single model coming from the $14,000 base model all the way up to the top spec model, they all come standard with LED automatic headlights. You obviously don't need to turn those off and on, they're just auto. LED, they also come standard with LED driving lights as well, plus LED lights on the back. Those LED lights on the back as well, when you see them, they look really cool. They're kind of funky. Another cool thing that it comes standard with, all models come standard with a 13-inch or 12.8 inch, so let's just go 13-inch central touchscreen, which has a little party trick. You press a button and then it will actually rotate to going either horizontal or vertical, depending on which style you prefer. But either way, I think this is actually the biggest touchscreen in any car in this segment size. Considering it's an EV, and it's also affordable, that's a really good value for money. Then you get, as well as that, a 5-inch touchscreen in front of the driver. One of the things that reviewers are saying is that there's a lot of information to be able to try and read on that 5-inch touchscreen, so it takes some time to get used to that. Another thing I really like, I think it's really practical the way that the dash sticks out, so you can store things in the front of the dash there. I mean, why wouldn't it stick out? You don't put your hands there. There's no reason not to have the dash come closer in the middle of the car. It makes total sense. And it doesn't have a gear selector. It just has a button on the side of the dash there in the middle. And it's got some other buttons, lots of buttons on the steering wheel, which I think makes a lot of sense. Considering we now use touchscreens, it's much quicker to use a button while you're driving rather than trying to press a touchscreen and be like, that's what happens, right? You're not paying attention to the road because you're trying to touch the touchscreen. So if you have the buttons on the steering wheel, it's got a rotator toggle on the steering wheel that can allow you to use the touchscreen as well. And then it's got also additional buttons, a few buttons on the dash, not too many, but not so little that there's no practicality in terms of wanting to be able to press buttons easily that you use all the time. Seats, driver's seat is 6-way electronically adjustable. Passenger seat, 4-way electronically adjustable. The rear, the main criticism that people are saying is it only has one USB point in the rear. They're saying it should have 2. Totally agree. But anyway, you can make do with one. You actually get an adapter and you can make one port, you can turn it into 2. So you could solve that, although it would have less power per actual adapter point. So that's a bit of a downside. Anyway, legroom is enormous. There's more legroom in this car than I've seen in any hatchback that I've ever seen. Headroom, not as much. Obviously, the batteries in the base of the car, they take up a little bit of space at the base of the car. So headroom isn't as great. If you're over 5'10", could be uncomfortable in terms of headroom. Apparently, the touchscreen has 2 standout features according to carnewschina.com. First, when navigating away from the active sat-nav page to another app, a small movable translucent overlay will appear, giving basic navigation info on the screen. The second is on the upper page, where you can set your home electric tariff, and the car will tell you how much the trip cost is based on your electricity price per kilowatt, and therefore you'll know what it costs you to drive the thing every day, which is really cool. Not much else, but the top spec model, which will be going to international markets, comes standard with adaptive cruise control and lane departure warning, but nothing else. There's no ADAS, no lane keep assist, and no other automated features either. However, it does come with a 360-degree panoramic camera, and all vehicles get parking sensors camera. So that's kind of a cool feature. I like that idea. I'm sorry, I know Australian journalists, Australian publications hate it when I say this. I've received emails of people getting angry at me for saying these comments, but it's true. If your employer is paying you, then will you be affected by that? Of course you will. So I don't know what people are going to say, but when these cars come to Australia, I'll test it and I'll tell you exactly what I think of it. But honestly, to ramp up production of this car. It's already one of BYD's best-selling EVs in China, but they're just not making enough of them. However, they have more production lines going in because I think BYD are well aware that this car is going to sell. And ultimately, I mean, what do you think of it? Let me know in the comment section below and have a great day. Bye-bye.